Hey guys, this is Jimmy with LinuxNerd.com. Today we're going to look more into Manjaro and some of its user interface settings that we can adjust here. And so if this is your first time, you can join me. It's my first time also to look at Manjaro. Here we can see the welcome panel for Manjaro. That's the very first page that comes up. There's not really much here that you can get into, maybe some of the wiki pages and so forth, but I'm just going to go ahead and close this out. Now, if you're coming from the Windows world, this interface would probably look very familiar to you, except the lack of different icons. You can put in different icons here. Let's say I want to put in a text file, and I'm going to put it right there. You'll see it right there. And you'll be able to have your own icons to your different applications and so forth. Down here on the start menu, what you would call in Windows, we already have Firefox installed and different apps like that to get you going, Dolphin File Manager and so forth. On the next video we're going to look at more what comes standard in the operating system, but today what we want to focus on the settings, and so we're going to come in here to System Settings, and we're going to take a look at the different options that we can have. Close that out. Alright, so here's the system settings for Manjaro. The first setting here, we can see the hardware configuration, and here I'm on a VMware machine here, so it's showing the audio driver for the VMware. We can see that this is the one currently installed, and here's the different other drivers that can be used. Coming from a Windows environment, for you this could be very easy, so you can pick which drivers you want to do, test them out. This is a lot harder to see in a Windows environment, especially the next section is for kernel. And in Windows you'll never see anything like this, but this shows all the different kernels that are available to this version of Manjaro. And right now we're right here on this one. We're running Linux 5.2.11-1, and if we wanted to try to get into a newer kernel, we could quickly install the different kernels to move up in the different kernel stages here, all the way to the kind of the bleeding edge of Linux right now, this experimental one that they're still testing out. Or you can go back down and look at the more stable versions, older versions that may work well for you in the past, and you can try those out also. Here we have the keyboard settings, and here we have English since I'm United States as a default, but if you're from one of these other countries, you have many other different options here and different languages to select from. Here you can set the whole profile here. If you have a particular keyboard that you want to use, then you may be able to download the one that is for your version. A lot of people use Logitech, so here's all the Logitechs to make sure they have the right keys and so forth. Language packaging is right here, and this shows you the different languages that are available and the different ones to install. And so this is all available right here. Next we would look at locale. And again, I'm in the United States in English, and so this is what I would use here. And you could optionally add this if you're in a different country. You could select your language right here. Afrikaans, for instance, you can put the territory, or if you live in Europe, you could do, I guess if you're in Sardinia, you could do that, and you can be in Italy. Sounds like a nice place to visit. So there's the different options here, the different languages. And if you're Haitian Creole, there's one for Haiti here, and all over all these different languages that you can select from and be able to customize things for yourself. And next is the time and date. Now I'm actually in the Central Time Zone of the United States, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust this properly. We're going to go ahead and set time and date automatically. This is usually the best way to do it, so we can update the time from the time servers online. My issue here is that we need to go ahead and change the time zone, and we're definitely not in Berlin. The only thing about United States that's a little difficult here to figure out is Indiana has a couple different time zones, and so this is pointing to a city in Indiana, which is really not ideal. But I'm going to go ahead and select that one for now, keep it there. So it does have daylight savings time, and so this does not match my local time. So for right now, I'm just going to pop this down an hour to match my local time. and then it's going to want a password. I'm just going to type in that password real quick. Next, you can set up different user accounts. I set this one up in configuration as an administrator account, but if you have other people using your system, you could set them account and also set up the type. So let's set up a child account. If we had a child that would be using this, we can just do child1. I'll put in a simple password that the kid could easily figure out. And now I have to put my administrative password in. And go ahead and do that. So now we have the child account made, and it comes standard. Now we could bump this up if we trust the user, and we could bump it up even higher. We could also give specific groups that they could have access to. This is more an advanced feature. Most people probably wouldn't come in here and use this. Most people would just stick to a standard account, so they can't install anything and they can't do anything to disrupt the operation of the system here. And here's the administrator account. Next is the appearance, and we can come over here to look and feel. They have a couple default ones, and you can get also new themes right here, but we're just going to look at the default themes. Right now it just comes standard with Breathe, and this is this background for Manjaro here. And so I'm going to click Breeze, and I'm going to go ahead and initiate that. And you can see everything switched over for a second there, kind of give an idea what it looked like. The different environment, the different windows that are all going to be a little different search menu here. And then there's Breeze Dark. A lot of people like the dark mode look, and this is what you could easily switch to. You could also click here for new themes, and you can see it just downloads a bunch of different ones that you can select from. So you have the ability to pick all sorts of different looks and feel for your operating system. So we're going to go ahead and move over to Workspace Theme. And this is more about the apps and widgets that's on your desktop. If I could switch this over to some of these other options, you can see that there's a different clock and so forth. I don't currently have the clock activated, so you can't really see that. And I prefer just to have the standard digital clock down here. And but you can also pick different cursors. And I could just pick to a high contrast now and see how that changes. You may not be able to see this exactly on the stream because this is through a virtual machine, but the icons will change by selecting these. Like right now it's white, and it looks like it is picking that up on the stream here. So if you go from here to black, and you'd have to activate these different cursor icons to see those. Next you would look at the colors, and here is where if you like the theme, you don't want to change it, but you may want to look at a dark theme. We could just switch everything over on the window, and you can see the nice contrast there. And but I'm just going to put it back to Breathe to keep things standard. And so those are the few options you have there. Next is your fonts, and you can manage the different fonts and things and set the main fonts for your windows. So if I switch this over to maybe this, and you can see even this changes up here. We just want to reset that back to default, but you do have the ability to change all of that if you so choose. And we'll go back. Next you can pick your icons. And they got their own set of icons for the different files and different standard icons that you would see here, high contrast for instance. If I change this to a known fill, I can click on this and apply, and we should see this text file perhaps change here, but I did not see that. So different options that you could use there if you so choose. There's also these emoji icons that if you wanted to you could use, and with different key commands that would activate the emoji icons in the different applications here. So you also have a application style here in the system settings. We have things to try to look like GNOME. I'm on KDE, but you can have it a GNOME look if that's what you so choose. and you have the different options here, how you want your different tabs and so forth to look in your various applications. Next we can see here Workspace, and there's a few options here, different desktop effects, screen edges, touchscreen, screen locking, virtual desktops, activities, so forth. All sorts of features you could use here to change your workspace, which is really, if you're coming from the Windows environment, just think desktop and how things work like that, all the different windows and so forth. And so you have just these various, I'll skip through some of these for now real quick, and so you can just kind of get an idea. You can activate, you know, the login screen and so forth, different auto starts, background services, desktop session. This would be the search. A lot of times here you can just run the search right here, and you could edit how that's going to look for your different software. Set up information about your particular account, and you could have it use KDE Wallet if you want to go that route. And then you can also manage your users. You also see that we set this user up on the other side, and you can come in here and you can set up more advanced features, and like allow this one to log in automatically if this is just for a child and they don't even need a password. So we're going to back up here. Different notifications that'll pop up for different alerts that the operating system wants to show you. The various different regional settings that you can pick here, built-in spell checker, date and time formatting. I know that UK and Canada uses a different time and date setting, so you could set your preferred look for some of this on how the date displays. Here in the United States we usually do month, day, year, even though it probably makes more sense to do it the other way, where you have day, month, year, because it's getting larger. Some more accessibility that you can see here, different applications, terminal emulator. We'll have a video on some of that here soon. Different online accounts allow you to move your settings from one account to the other if you have multiple systems and you want to carry all your settings over. Here's the network. Currently I'm on a wired connection through the VMware. Different settings, got Bluetooth built in if you have an appropriate adapter, different hardware inputs. Here's where you set up multiple displays and how you want your screen to be displayed on the monitor. Different multimedia settings, power management, KDE Connect, printers. To be important, this is where you would add a new printer, and should be all in here. And removable storage for your USB sticks and so forth, digital cameras, and set how things behave. If you put in a USB stick, you can set how you want that, if you wanted that to open up with a file menu or not do anything at all. So that's something you may want to think for security purposes. And here, these are system daemons, and here's where you can set up different applications to run on default, and different things and services to load here, user units, sessions, and timers. So in the next video we're going to look at some of the default applications. We did select during the application of the install process the text editor and so forth. We'll look at that, LibreOffice in a little more depth here on the next video, and the package managers using Pacman, and so we'll look through some of that. So hopefully this will give you a good overview on how to set up Manjaro the exact way that you want to see it. Hey nerds, you can check out my website or click on this video to learn more about Linux. Make sure you hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. And don't stop being nerdy.